Generally, in terms of recommendations, I already talked about develop your bot in Python. Just a ton of libraries out there. And also, if you are going to hire somebody in this space, those folks will want to work in Python. Use machine learning when you feel like there are more features that you can manually consider. So again, let me think about kind of the smart contract machine learning models. It considers 100 function signatures. And I mentioned there may be additional features like the size, particular opcodes or opcode patterns, right? That is a ton of features. It's going to be extremely difficult to author a heuristic that kind of utilizes those features. So yeah, if you feel like you have a lot of features, then consider using machine learning models. Output a normalized score from 0 to 1. And that what that really will do allows for ease of consumption of the alert for anything that kind of builds on top of the alert. Fourth point is try to create smaller machine learning models that assess one aspect. And the reason for that is that you could theoretically take a transaction and look at all properties of the transaction. You could look at the contract, you could look at the EOA, you could look at the history and build one monolithic model and say, oh, this transaction is malicious or not. But it's going to be very difficult to explain. And so what I would recommend is that you use smaller models that look at one aspect. So you could say, oh, there's a model that looks at the smart contract and assesses, is that malicious or not? There is one model that could look at the balance history of an account, right? And say, hey, this is anomalous or not. That makes a machine learning approach much more explainable, because when you raise an alert, you could say, oh, I'm raising an alert that this transaction is suspicious or malicious because the smart contract that is involved is unusual or has malicious indicators, right? It just makes it easier to consume the alert. And then last point is test utilizing time slicing. So don't just kind of create a data set and randomly separate into a test and training data set. Think of kind of how the bot would operate in production. It is trained on past data and makes predictions of future data. And so you should similarly train a model on older data, test it on slightly newer data, such that then it can really predict unseen data in the future. So those are just kind of a few points, but for more information, I included a link here, and I'll put this in the chat as well. The data science and machine learning docs on the Forta documentation for more information. It also includes the links to some of the bots that I referenced.